grams. And it knocked his big butt out to where he slept on a park bench all day in D.C. and missed the entire event. I ate two that day and ran the event. So it's a matter of tolerance, as with a pharmaceutical. Let's compare it to Oxy. Once you get used to taking Oxy, you can take a lot of Oxy and you don't react the way that someone that never took Oxy and took one would react. Your body builds that tolerance. And I've been taking cannabis oil since 2010, so I have a very high tolerance. It's even hard for me to get any kind of a euphoric buzz smoking a joint at times because of that.
I think
Because your body gets used to it, body builds a tolerance, and then you can consume more. But new
Right.
users need to be very careful with edibles and not overdo it.
right,
Well, I was just surprised at how much you can consume.
The cannabinoid system is starting to function. Because most people really, their endocannabinoid system is not functioning. There's not enough cannabinoids in our diet to get that system at full function.
right.
If we were still eating hemp, I think Jeremy's a big hemp advocate for the omegas. If we were eating hemp every day, I'm sure that it would start boosting our people's endocannabinoid systems. And that's a way to legally do it for those of the people that aren't as brave as me to illegally heal.
Okay,
You
well,
know, I said, screw it.
can-
It's my life.
can we hear from
Live or
Jeremy
die. I don't think anyone
about that?
has the right to make that decision for me.
Can we hear from Jeremy about that? Jeremy, are you still there with us, right?
Yeah.
Well, the intersection between how the cannabinoid receptors, there's something going on with like a cellular membrane. So obviously, with like the building blocks of life that we're talking about here, the EFAs and how they like transmit, they help our cells like transmit to each other, and that's what there's something that's similar about how the endocannabinoid system picks up or like goes through. That's an interesting. That's like a total like frontier of research right now. With up to there's like over 61 scientific studies. Like this is a symptom of omega-3 deficiency. This mental illness. So with something this widespread that it's a common thing, and having spoken to people over the years about hemp seed foods, like is my production company, my hemp seed production, snack production, and he always said though, like people don't know about omega-3s being essential, who maybe think of fish or that it's like a heart health supplement, but don't really think about where they're getting it or what they're doing about it. But you know, they don't even know that it's essential. And
I'd ask. Yeah. Here in North Carolina, I talk to people all the time, whether I go to the store, the drugstore, or the grocery store, and a lot of people don't know what hemp is. And a lot of people don't realize that it's on our store shelves. I mean, you can get hemp granola in Kroger here. You can get the hemp oils and the ice cream and the flour and the seeds and all kinds of things. And don't they contain all three omegas, 3, 6, and 9, correct?
But that doesn't have any THC in it. There is a slight difference.
Those are all legal products, and they're on our shelves here in Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and Kroger and a lot of your vitamin stores and health stores here.
Well, I think if we end prohibition, one of the things that will happen as a result of ending prohibition is that there's going to be so much more information available to people that's going to keep people, not only informed but safe. I think part of the whole culture to demonize people who, use a plant essentially, it really puts people in danger. And I think we have the government to thank for that. And I think when they go after people like Shauna and some of the other folks who they vilify, and people have a tendency to hide and even hide information and hide their stories. It's a very dangerous culture that has been created by this government, and I just want to applaud everybody for being on this show and speaking truth to power. And to be honest, you guys, we're all doing this at tremendous risk to our personal careers, at risk of just with family and friends and people who are caught up in the matrix of this is just something so horrible and terrible. And history will prove that we are right to just remove the stigma so that people can get access to people like Jeremy, access to people like Julie, and access to people like Summer and Chris, so that they become empowered now with this information. So first, I want to applaud you, all of you, for being here and sharing your stories. But I also have a question too. We seem to sometimes not connect the dots to our civil liberties and what we want to do with our own bodies as adults, and then questioning and always asking the government for permission. Can I please treat myself in the way that I want to, and not really seeing how obscene, on top of absurd, that notion is when we keep talking about freedom. I mean, we're bombing people back into the Stone Age talking about we want to make them free, and we have people who are oppressed here. When you can't make choices of how you want to treat your illnesses, how you want to treat yourself. And so this is some very, very important work that we're doing here at the GoPro Radio Network. We're going to take a really quick break. I want to let everybody know that what you're listening to is Fortunate Youth, Sweet Sensei in the background, and we are going to be back right after this message. Everybody, the mics are live.
Awesome.
Wars abroad. Come to a major conference of the United National Anti-War Coalition. That's UNAC. Stop racist police violence, end militarism, and the school-to-prison pipeline. See you Friday, May 8th to Sunday, May 10th in Secaucus, New Jersey. It's only 20 minutes away from New York City. Find the links, connect the dots, get the skills. Join hundreds of activists, resistance fighters, and community forces. Participate in workshops, participate in panels. Also, there's lots of culture and music. Register and get all the info at unacpeace.org. That's UNACPEACE.org. Come for the weekend or just a full day. We need your voice, lend your voice, and all power to the people.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
Okay, we are back. You are listening to the Roll Up Radio Show on the GoPro Radio Network, and I'm just going to hand everything over to Jules, and we're going to take it from there. But I want to. Oh, can I just say one more thing too? The commercial you heard, which was produced by us at the GoPro Radio Network, is about this really terrific event, and I want to do some connecting of the dots here with liberties and freedoms. There's going to be a huge conference, unlike any other conference that you've ever experienced dealing with the anti-war message. We have the United National Anti-War Coalition, called UNAC, is having a massive conference right here in the tri-state area. It's in New Jersey. It's at the Empire Meadows Clarion Hotel in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is only like 20 minutes away from New York City, people who are in the know. But it's really worth it. And I know this show is a national show. We have folks who are on this conversation from North Carolina, from California. This is a matter of fact, actually, this is an international show because we are on the web. But folks who happen to be in town on May 8th to Sunday, May 10th, it's a worthwhile, presentation to attend. All right. So, what's so funny? What's going on? What's going on here? What's happening? Somebody's doing stuff. But it's going to be, there's going to be panels, and there's going to be over 30 workshops, and You know, we're going to be talking about what we're talking about today in terms of the government's war on drugs and just war in particular, because you're talking about, you should see the connection. You know, all of their so-called wars seem to just cause more problems, you know, than it tries to solve. You ever notice that when they have a war on something, whether it's a war on education, education gets worse. If it's a war on drugs,
frame
it
everything that way,
yeah,
John.
it's
They frame it that way for a reason, because we're a war culture, and so everything is a war on this, a war on that, you know, we're fighting a battle. I mean, even in business, you see them use it in business. I must admit, I'm probably guilty of that
Anything that
terminology
makes money
myself.
is what they're going to do. That's bottom line.
Yeah.
It's got to make money, and war makes money, and illegal arms trade, and all kind of things that they don't talk about to the general public. It's just
A
a
lot of
matter of
people are
getting
making money
educated.
off war. A lot, I mean, there are there are thousands of small businesses that exist primarily to service the war machine. And for a little time, a part here, a part there, and they're all millionaires.
Well, it's like our friend was reading an article. He was surprised to see that Iran had sold Yemen weapons. Well, just a few months ago, we sold weapons to Iran. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, if you want to go, well, you can go
Full
weapons to a
circle.
lot of people.
yeah. There's a famous
War should not be a profitable business.
Right.
End of story.
right, and
Simple.
right.
And in this way, the people who say you need to be protected,
We are the world police.
we're not though. We suck at it.
No, I disagree. I totally disagree with that. I think we are the world's criminals. We are the police, you know, because we're keeping their feet to the fire. We're exposing the lies. We're telling people that, look, they are violating, you know, your sovereignty, your autonomy, you know, your right to exist and right to things. So they are really engaged. See, they're playing a mind game on us. They're making us feel like we're the criminals when they are the criminals. They're the ones who are shooting people in the back. They're the ones who are violating people's rights every day in broad daylight. And
Okay, what do we really fight for here, Tylen? Do we fight to end prohibition of marijuana?
Yes.
Or do we fight for something a little bit more fundamental, which is the government stops telling us what to do with our bodies, and they get the hell out of our homes. As long as we are not harming or hurting anybody,
Right.
they have no business coming here. They have no business
Right.
knocking on my door unless
Right.
they're collecting donations or something.
Yep.
But they have no business whatsoever telling
Right.
me what to do with my body.
right, I think
Do we fight
Well,
for
that's the
that?
thing.
you know what, to answer
That's what I mean.
to answer that question, I would say that we need to do both things. We need to do all. You know, when you're being attacked, you don't just say, "Hey, I'm a punch." You kick, you spit, you yell. You do everything within your power to fight the oppressor. So I think that we have to stop framing that we do this, do we do it? We should do everything. We should start where we are, use what we have, and do what we can to expose the lies first and inform people. And when we inform people, we empower people. And if we set the example and say, "Hey, no, that's not right. We're not going to take it anymore," then somebody next to you will say, "That's right. I'm not going to take it anymore." Let me tell you, we're going to have a tribunal at this conference. It's denouncing the U.S. criminal acts and the militarization of the police. You're going to hear testimony from family members of victims of police killings. There's going to be also a teacher suspended for allowing students to write to Mumia Abu Jamal. And just for some folks who might not know who he is, he's been spending almost 30 years of his life in prison for a crime he didn't commit. They're gonna also expose Ferguson leaders, victims of attack on Muslims, and so much more at this conference. Go to UNAC.org to get more information, and we need everybody to participate. With that forum, it's very, very important that we start to really push back on what we see as more and more repressive policies that's coming out of the so-called government, because we forgot that the people are the government. We make up the government.
We're not that bad.
You know, back to Shauna Banda, because we need to talk about her.
Absolutely.
Shauna is a good woman. Shauna's a good mother. She's a national activist. She wrote a book about her journey with cannabis. called Live Free or Die. She's educated her children the right way about cannabis, so they respect it as a medicine. And I think that's something our government and these leaders fail to realize, is that right now, cannabis, as they call it marijuana, I choose to call it cannabis, really doesn't matter what they call it, is a non-toxic plant, but it is a very powerful medicine. And when you were a kid, when I was young, I'm 50, so when you were young, when somebody said that's grandma's medicine, you didn't want it. You didn't want to touch it.
Right.
You didn't touch grandma's medicine. Nowadays, these teenagers are stealing grandma's medicine. And the most abused drug in this country is the pharmaceutical painkillers and things that these kids are taking.
Yeah, and dying from.
It's not marijuana.
And when they can't get that, they skip to heroin. Or if the pharmaceuticals get too expensive, they go to heroin.
Heroin's really big in North Carolina, and so is meth.
It's all over. It's all over, Rebecca.
So is cocaine.
I
and
think
the
every
biggest thing
city
is
is having a major problem with that right now.
Yep, and the biggest thing with our kids, and there's data to support this, is the Molly that's going around, which didn't even exist when I was in school, and the ecstasy pill.
Molly and
Yep,
ecstasy.
Molly. It's I think it's MDMA. But a lot of our teenagers.
Wait a minute.
What'd you say, Jeremy?
I have never done that. I'm 33 years old, and I grew up with all that, not like all the time or anything, but...
The 90s, the party scene.
It was in the 80s. I had friends, I was like 30-ish in the 80s when I was going to school that
Yeah, I
did this.
was too. I was in my 20s.
I wasn't born yet.
I mean, back then there was a lot of coke around, but some of these designer drugs that are on the market now, like the K2 Spice and the Molly, those things weren't around back in our day. There was weed, there was coke, there was alcohol,
And
mushrooms.
THC and Valiums. A lot of people did Valiums and Quaaludes when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
That's the thing. Pharmaceutical drugs are the most abused thing on the planet. Period.
Yeah.
Alcohol runs a close second.
Yeah.
And I don't know where in this equation they miss the fact that cannabis is non-toxic. Because all the other things we're talking about are deadly.
My
And no
favorite
one has
saying,
ever
50
died
people will
from
die today
using
from alcohol.
Right.
Lots of died
What
from
is this
alcohol.
drink you have here, Rebecca? What is that?
Oh, you can leave it. I can get one of these right down the road at the local convenience store. They're completely legal. It's called Canna Energy. And so this is great. So this is, starting to educate people down here. But it's made with hemp seed oil and caffeine and all natural ingredients. But you can actually get these in North Carolina. I don't know how many
Wow.
people know that, but
Jeremy?
they're awesome.
Jeremy, do you make something like that?
A drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, but something. I saw it
No,
happen.
not only is all dry goods, all
Yeah,
snacks, all goods and snacks, and no baked goods.
They owe us.
Prestige promotion, and
Here, so
yeah, they like one in that coffee shops with energy snacks. So we're developing energy snacks as quickly. The spirit of innovation is alive and urban in the Midwest. Really, we've got so much heritage here. It's inspiring to be in Akron and Cleveland, where we've got like the Quaker Oats history and the Underground Railroad, and we have this toxic algae situation on Lake Erie that's bringing attention to agricultural issues. And I really built a consensus out there, like tabling. We do like 7 to 10 farmers markets this summer in like 4 different locations as like nourishing goodie snacks at PlantKingdomBakery.com, and we are anything to expand production and just keep up with the incredible awesomeness that's possible with those wonderful, nutritionally valuable nature's gifts, our blessings, stop the trouble and the stressing.
Well, Jeremy, do you feel that business has picked up as more people become aware of the benefits of just medical cannabis as opposed to hemp?
We've definitely brought hundreds of thousands of people into awareness of the value and the uses and to clarify the subject. For the confused, it's like with just ages and generations of being deprived of these nutrients, and now it's like a leading nutritional wellness imperative initiative to address omega-3 deficiencies in one of the ways we can to bring mental health and wellness into really service to everybody's bodies. And that's why we gotta utilize tests for omega-3s. Stop overfishing. Check out Omega Fast Action, our location on Twitter is Omega Fast Action. Check out our strategic blogging tweets.
Okay, and you also have a page on Facebook, correct? Planet Kingdom, is it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Planet Kingdom.
Planet Kingdom.
Snack Week, and Omega Fast Action is my nonprofit nutritional brain reminder initiative.
Okay, well, if anybody's interested in following up and learning a little bit more about that, on the post, we always tag our guest, and I know from going to Jeremy's page myself on Facebook that he does have the links there for those websites on his Facebook page.
Right.
And they are public. You can see them and get to these websites and learn a little bit more about his products and perhaps order some because they're definitely healthy. They're good for you. I know a lot of people are looking at hemp and hemp seeds. They don't realize that you can pretty much go down to the corner store and buy a bag of hemp seeds.
Right.
Because they are nutritious.
No, they don't. And that's the thing. We have many legal hemp products in North Carolina, and most recently, I have licensed a small business here called Green Leafies, and we haven't opened a store yet, but I'm ready and licensed and have my sales use and tax ID to start getting some of these hemp products into North Carolina and at least educating them about hemp.
Right.
Because a lot of them don't even know what hemp is.
Got a manufacturer right here.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Wow. Jeremy, what's usually like the typical response from the customer who has zero experience with products? What do they come back, and when they come back, what do they say to you?
Yeah.
It's more balanced and harmonious and complete with all the profiles, and it's got this hard-to-find GLA. And that's the next thing for OPN. It's really look into the TLA and do some, specific methodology and pathway and dermatological
Right.
exposes. We're also invested in police reform and assuring adequate omega-3s for officers and personnel and service schools of all. We all need some adequate omega-3s. And so we have a brain initiative that is just to set aside some time to learn about the functionality of the plant sources and the role of this nutrient in our cell membrane and throughout.
Right.
So it's really exciting. And we're expecting people to do potluck and keep up with the add-on stats. It's a great reason to legalize and pass the hemp farming act to ensure that you have access to omega-3s. And for all the hemp advocates out there, just when we talk about the actual agricultural issues, it's the bees, it's the Roundup, it's the actual threats to our water
Roundup is what.
Right. What's that, Julie?
eviscerated at such great speed.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we have everything to offer, it's like there's so much to offer.
Okay, so Jeremy, tell us a little bit more about the event that you have or the event that you are involved in with some restaurateurs in your community, and how's that going?
It is going. I've had only good responses. The industrious applications. If you check out the hemp menu hashtag, I have the hemp menu hashtag going for our Northeast, our Ohio-wide menu specials. Let It Grow initiative for the month of April. It's a challenge to add hemp and innovate with hemp, and get the essential nutrients featured more prominently for the dietary diversity. For protein on a salad, there's a need there to diversify for protein on a salad and protein in a smoothie. So that's like just there. That's like juices and smoothie places and restaurants like Olive Garden that have like 7 salads, and it's all like add chicken breast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're trying to tell
People are getting more conscious about being healthy. People really are getting more health conscious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you say that again? Because
And we'll be successful.
no, can you say that again? I couldn't
We've
hear you.
actually seen that movement out here in California for a long time. Health conscious is just something I've lived out here, but it's nice to hear that you're saying that in North Carolina.
Why everybody is so sick. And the reason why we're all so sick is the combination of what's in our food, the stuff that's treated in our water. I mean, because there's a huge anti-fluoride movement now. There's a huge anti-GMO movement now. We're all concerned about what they're spraying on our food and that should be a concern, because the diffuse large B-cell lymphoma that I was diagnosed with comes from Roundup and pesticides and environmental toxins.
Right.
Is what made me sick.
Right. Right. It's in the air.
I was always neurotic about that. I before I was injured, I actually ate completely organic, cooked from scratch. I didn't eat crap at all.
You are what you eat. That's a fact. You are what you eat.
Right.
And I had to change a lot of things when I got diagnosed with cancer, along with taking my cannabis oil regularly and daily to stay alive. And I had to cut out like all white sugar. You have to watch your body pH. No processed food. No processed meat. I ate green leafy vegetables, which people don't eat enough of anymore. Ate all kinds
Because it's not
of
around.
products.
Yeah.
You really have to switch
You
your life
have to
around.
do that. If it's a choice. Like Summer and I work with a lot of patients, and lately we've just been bombarded with these stage 4 cancer patients, and it's sad. And you have to kind of look at them and say, do you really want to live? And what else are you doing? Because I can give you oil, but I can't make any guarantees. You got to fight for this, and you have to do all these other things.
Right.
Because if you don't do all this other stuff right, we might be able to like shrink your tumors, pull your cancer back a little bit, but you need to do these other things because you've been doing it wrong, and that's why you got cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't keep feeding your body a bunch of junk. We are a natural being with natural parts that was never meant to eat plastic and chemicals. We
Right.
were never meant to eat that.
Right. Right.
We're all finally
And
seeing the
it's-
results of all of the chemicals and things that we're
We're
feeding
seeing
that
the
we started
results
feeding
of
to animals.
GMO introduction in like 92.
Right.
91 or 92, they introduced all these GMO fruits and vegetables and products. My mother works for a company that does portfolio research, so she has to look for companies that are involved in like fracking and all these bad things they're doing out there because people don't want to invest in companies that are involved with certain things.
Right.
And she said that the wheat that we eat looks nothing like what wheat was naturally.
Yeah, it's true.
They have modified wheat to the point where it doesn't even look the same.
Right.
And then corn
Yeah, it's
is another one.
yeah.
They have
I don't
modified
eat corn
corn
anymore.
to where it doesn't even look like real corn really looks naturally. And that's what we can't let them do to cannabis. I hope the day never comes that they modify cannabis to the point where the natural strains that were put on this earth by whomever you believe in are destroyed.
We
We
got to
can't
save
let
our
that
seeds
happen.
just
We
in
have
case.
to fight for the natural plant. We have to protect it.
Here, here,
Yes.
here,
It's
here.
very
Okay, well, we're coming up on the end of the hour here, and Rebecca, we didn't really get enough time to. I would really like to take a deep dive into your medical history, some of your other issues
Oh, yeah,
from your
I'm
youth and things
documented.
that you've dealt with. I think you have a fabulous story that's definitely worth telling. It's one that kind of exemplifies
Well, we kind of
pretty
came
much
on
a
tonight
little
to talk
bit of
about
everything,
Sean.
reason why
I
we
should
do
come
what we
back
do.
on again and get into my story because it's a rather interesting one.
Well, we're definitely going to have you back because we're down to 2
And,
minutes. We're down to 2
it's
minutes on
really,
our
really,
show.
really
We're
good
towards we're gonna have to wrap this up, guys. But I want to just thank everybody for being a part of this show. This is very, very important work that we're doing, and you're absolutely right. It's in the food, it's in the air, it's everywhere, and now we have to be everywhere to resist. We have to push back. I just want to remind everybody that there is a huge conference that you can take part in, and your voice can and will be heard. It's called the United National Anti-War Coalition's Conference 2015, and you can go to www.unacconference2015.org. I would like everybody else to give out their information so folks can contact them, and I guess we can start with Jeremy, and then we can wrap. I think we lost the call.
Rebecca. Okay, we have their contact info on Facebook.
Great.
They're linked to our page.
Right.
I will get pictures of both Jeremy and Rebecca up on the photo albums of guests, along with links to their to the video here. And we can also post additional links as needed. And it was a good show.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
hopefully next week I'll have.
It's
some
11
conversation
o'clock.
From Governor Sam Brown back in Kansas regarding Shauna's child and how he intends to help or not help her get him back.
All right, so
And
folks.
next week, too, tune in. We got Justin Kander, a nice young activist, and Anna Richter's going to come back and join us on that show, too. And we're going to find out what are the younger people doing out there to help end prohibition and work towards legalization.
Okay, this is Tylon, Julie, Summer, Chris, Jeremy, and you've been listening to the Roll Up Radio Show with and Rebecca. So don't forget to tune in next week. Now we're going into overtime.